Cooking Corner with Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. And today, I'm going to be making my famous tortellini in Brodo. Okay, so what you're going to need in terms of ingredients are the following. You're going to need some chopped celery, some fresh parsley, some chopped carrots. You're going to need some chicken broth. You're going to need some fresh tortellini. You're going to need both pepper and nutmeg. You're going to need some butter and some garlic. And finally, some Parmesan cheese. Okay, now what you're going to need in terms of hardware is the following. You're going to need a large pot with a top. Now ideally, you'll use either a Dutch oven or a Le Creuset. But if you don't have either of those, any large pot will do. You're going to need a cutting board on which to cut your vegetables. You're going to need a knife with which to cut your vegetables. You're going to need a peeler to peel your vegetables. You're going to need a spoon to stir the mixture. You're going to need various measuring implements to measure your ingredients out. And you're going to need 2 reasonably sized bowls. Okay, so as always, step 1 is going to be wash your hands. Go ahead and turn on your water. Stick your hands underneath, get it nice and moist. Flick them out. Add some soap to your hands. Rub it all about. Get the back of your hands, the knuckles in between the fingers, under the fingernails, up your wrist maybe, who knows. And then stick them back under the water and wash all of that off. Take your time, as this helps ensure safety in the kitchen. Alright, and once you're done, you can turn your water off, flick your fingers out, grab a dish towel, a paper towel, whatever you want, and dry your hands off. And now you're ready for step 2. Got some runners. Okay, now we're on to step number 2, which is going to be peeling and cutting your vegetables. So, I take my handy dandy veggie peeler over here, I grab my big old carrot that I'm going to peel, and I start peeling it. Do nice long strokes the full length of the carrot, and when you're done, just flip it around and peel the other side. Get any loose areas that you saw that you didn't hit with the peeler on the first run, and then you're ready to chop. Since we only need 1 cup of carrots, we're going to start by peeling and then cutting to see how many we need. So, chop them up in little bits like so, and just start adding them to your 1 cup measuring cup. The size really depends on how big you want it, but I like nice little chunks of them. As we get to the top of the carrot, we get bigger pieces like this. I'll probably just end up cutting these in half. It looks like we're going to need thereabouts 2 carrots. Okay, so for me, it ended up being 2 carrots is a little too much, but never hurts to have more vegetables, so I'm going to add a little bit more than a cup. For you, you're going to want a half a cup. So that's about 1 carrot worth, alright? Excellent. So take your carrots that are all chopped up and throw them in this big old mixing bowl here. Okay, now that we're onto the celery, we're going to start. So, before you cook your celery, it's always important to wash it off in the sink first. So, we're going to take all of our celeries, bring them over to the sink, run some hot water, and rinse them off and clean them off real quick. Shake off the wet celery and bring it back to the cutting board. The reason we didn't have to do that with the carrots is because we took off the whole outside of the carrot with the peeler. Very similar to the carrot, we're going to cut the celery up, add it to the measuring cup. I'm going to need about 2 cups of it. You're only going to need 1 cup. Alright? So, just nice little cuts of celery. When it gets bigger, you can cut them in half. Based on this, I'd say we're going to need thereabouts 4 stalks of celery. So, take your next stalk and start cutting. Alright folks, now that all of our vegetables are chopped up and peeled, we're going to move on to step number 3, which is going to be cook your vegetables. So, to start, I'm going to take all this butter. For a single batch, you're going to need 3 tablespoons. For a double batch, you're going to need 6. 6 tablespoons is 3/4 of a stick of butter. So I've chopped it up so it melts nice, and I add it to the pan. Then I turn the stove on so the butter starts to melt. While your butter melts, you can measure out your garlic. Now, for a single batch, I use 1 teaspoon. For a double batch, I use 2. So, I'm going to get my handy dandy teaspoon, scoop out the allotted amount of garlic, which is 2 teaspoons, and throw it in with the vegetables. Like so. And once the butter melts, we'll just put the vegetable mixture in the butter. Okay, so your butter's starting to melt. Make sure you use your spoon to get all the different sides of the pot covered, or the bottom of the pot, that is. And once it's fully melted, we'll just add the vegetables and they'll cook for about 10 minutes. Okay, your butter's totally melted, so you're going to move on to step number 3 and take your garlic, carrot, and celery mixture and add it to the butter. Careful not to drop it in or it'll splash and get hot butter everywhere. You don't want that. Or maybe you do. And then start mixing the vegetables and garlic around. You're going to leave this, let it sit for about 10 minutes, stirring it occasionally. Okay, folks, it's almost been around the time. If you want faster results for your vegetables and stuff cooking, you can feel free to just throw the top on it. That'll make them cook faster. So for the last few minutes, I'll just throw the top on, and then we'll continue to wait. Alright, now that your vegetables have been in for 10 minutes, it's time to move on to step number 4, which is going to be add your water and your broth. Now, for a single batch, you're going to add 4 cups of water and 8 cups of broth. I'm making a double, so I'm adding 8 cups of water and 16 cups of broth. So, go ahead and take the top off like so. Never mind that steam. Give it another stir around or 2 like this. And go ahead and add your water and broth. Water in. This is half of the broth. Now I've got to add the other half. Alright, now that all the water and broth is in the pot, you're going to cover it and let it sit until it boils. Alright folks, now that your broth is boiling, you're going to take the top off, put it to the side, reduce the temperature, and now it's time to add your tortellini. I here have 2 different kinds of tortellini. I got prosciutto and cheese and 4 cheese. You can use whatever you want. For a regular single batch, you're going to use 2 9-ounce bags. I'm making a double batch, so I've got 4. But that's how it goes. So go ahead and add your torts. And then we're going to let this simmer with the top on for anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes until the tortellini is tender. Okay, tortellini's all nice and tender, so we're going to move on to step number 6, which is going to be add your pepper, parsley, and nutmeg. So what I've got here are 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and 1 tablespoon of pepper. We're just going to open up the pot, add this stuff over the top, stir it in, like so. Make sure it goes underneath this layer of tortellini. Some stragglers. Alright, then we're going to cover it and let it sit for another 10 minutes. You could even turn the temperature down a little bit. Okay folks, the tortellini and brodo is done. Now we're going to move on to step number 7, which is going to be plating. Alright, so you're going to come over here and turn your stove off because you're done cooking on it. You're going to grab your tortellini like so and put it on the counter. Take the top off of it like so. Go ahead and get yourself a ladle or a fancy spoon. Take your bowl and start serving it. Because it's in brodo, that's Italian for in broth, folks, you're going to want to make sure you get a decent amount of that broth in the bowl. Then you can top it with some Parmesan cheese. If I can figure out how to open it. And you can serve it with some bread. Bon appetits. All right, I want to thank you all for coming and watching this episode of Cooking Corner. If you have anything you would like to see on the video, feel free to message me or comment on the video. If you make any of the dishes, feel free to send me a picture and we'll feature them on the Twitter or make a video compilation of them. Bye-bye now.
Hey everybody, follow him on Twitter at Giuseppe the Meatball CrimiVaroli.
Thank you, Matt.
I came up with that name.